I'm sure by now everybody has heard about Jordan Peterson's consortium, the international one that he announced on his most recent episode of the JRE. He was talking with Joe Rogan. It was something that he brought up. Even beforehand, he said he had an announcement to make. There's been a lot of support. Even a video that I posted, it got so many views and so many comments, but I noticed that there was a lot of people who were almost speaking as though this was something that he just came up with in the past week or the past month. And you have to understand that this is something that is going to be able to combat the World Economic Forum, and it's not something that he just thought of last month. This has been something that he's been thinking about for at least the past 12 to 24 months. So when you hear him talking about all this stuff and you think that it's just all talk, it's much more than that. And even just the notion of somebody trying something like this is absolutely huge for us, because no matter what happens with it, it's now sparked in people's minds that there are alternatives available. All we would have to do is think them up together as people, as a unit. So I'm playing this clip because this is his warning shot. This is his warning message to the globalist, to the World Economic Forum, and he's speaking for us. So it's so important that you get behind him and his message and what he has planned. I know I will. I've already signed up for the updates, which you can do via his Twitter. And if you think that this is a good idea and you have faith in Dr. Peterson, I would suggest that you do it as well. So here's the clip. Let's get into it.
Critics of my view will say, we have to accept limits to growth. Fine, accept them. Personally, abandon your position of planet-devouring wealthy privilege. Join an ascetic order. Graze with the cattle. Or, if that's too much, and it probably is, then purchase an electric car, if you want one. But no diesel-powered emergency backup vehicle or electric power generator for you. Buy some stock in Tesla. That's probably the best bet on that front. But you don't approve of the likes of Elon Musk, do you? Stop flying. Stop driving, for that matter. Get on your bike instead in your three-piece business suit. In the winter, if you dare, I'll splash you with icy and salty slush as I drive by in my evil but warm Ford Bronco SUV and help you derive the consequent delicate pleasure of your own narcissistic martyrdom. Save the planet with your own choices, but quit demanding that the rest of us blindly follow your diktats. Quit demonizing and castigating us merely because we don't just happily cede to you all the extant power. We're not evil just because we don't believe that you are omniscient. We're not evil just because we don't want you to assume omnipotence and omnipresence too. There is simply no pathway forward to the green and equitable utopia that necessitates the further impoverishment of the already poor, the compulsion of the working class, or the sacrifice of economic security and opportunity on the food, energy, and housing front. There is simply no pathway forward to the global utopia you hypothetically value that is dependent on force. And even if there was, what gives you the right to enforce your demands on other sovereign citizens equal in value to you? An alternative solution. A better way forward would be to prioritize the problems that beset all of us on this still green, functional, and increasingly abundant planet, with the requisite focus and attention demanded of a true political class elected by the people, capable of and willing to look at everything, trying to fix where necessary, trying to maintain as much freedom and autonomy as possible, and stop simply capitalizing narcissistically on the mere appearance of action, knowledge, and virtue. We should obtain true cooperative consent from those affected, farmers, truckers, working class people, who have turned in irritated desperation to figures such as Trump, and work with them rather than forbidding them with your power or improving them so they will be finally worthy of your time and attention. Help replace dirty energy with clean if you must, but do it on your own dime. And make sure that the results are cheap and plentiful if you want to help the poor and the planet. The warning bells are ringing. Listen to them before they turn into sirens. We will not advance without resistance through the straits of your enforced privation. We will not allow you to steal and destroy the energy that makes our lives bearable and that produces our food and shelter and housing and the sporadic delights of modern life just to address your existential terror, particularly when it will fail to do so in any case. We will not allow our children to be criticized first for having the temerity to merely exist, and then deprived of the prosperous and opportunity-rich future we strived so hard to prepare for them. We remain unconvinced that your frightened and self-congratulatory moralizing and intellectual pretension, ignorance of the limits of statistics, and misuse of arithmetic. We do not believe, finally, and most absolutely, that your declared emergency and the panic you sow because of it means that you should now be ceded all necessary authority. So, leave us alone, you centralizers of power, you worshippers of Gaia, you sacrificers of the wealth and property of others, you would-be planetary saviors, you Machiavellian pretenders and virtue signalers, objecting to power, all the while you gathered around you madly. Leave us alone, to prosper or not, as a result of our own choices, as a result of our own actions, in the exercise of our own requisite and irreducible responsibility. Leave us alone, or reap the whirlwind, and watch the terrible destruction of what you purport to save in consequence.
Man, oh man. That is absolutely amazing. You know, this is what Satanists must feel like when Klaus Schwab gives a speech. There's such joy in my heart. This is how Trudeau must feel. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. No, I didn't mean Trudeau. I meant somebody else. Anybody else. Never mind. But to this clip that you just saw, this is from 5 months ago. This is very much along the same lines of what he said when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. This is from 5 months ago. He says in the podcast he's been trying to fight for the past 6 months. He felt like he was in war for the past 6 months. This is something that has been in the works for a while. So, again, if you have faith in Dr. Peterson, go to his Twitter, sign up for the updates, stay in tune, follow him on Twitter. Watch the things that he comes out with, because it's not just him in a room like this video. It's a lot of people. And the more of us that back it up, the more people that will be in this whole movement, the more strength it'll have. So I'm only saying that and showing you this to show, have some faith. Right now, the WEF has a lot of people who have faith in their agenda. It's not just that it's powerful people. There's a lot of people who have faith. They're getting together. They're showing their numbers. They're really going for it. And you have to do the same thing if you have faith in Dr. Peterson and the people who are a part of this. If you have that faith, then show it. I'm not saying go anywhere. I'm not saying do anything. I'm saying simply just sign up for the updates. Just follow them on Twitter. Just keep your ear to the street, to what's going on. Because, again, what they have planned, none of us have consented to. Not one of us. And maybe you have. Maybe you like the world economic. And obviously, free to your opinion, of course, 100%. But a lot of us, like he mentioned, the truckers, the drivers, the people who work at grocery stores and factories, retail, restaurants, none of us have consented to this stuff. USA, Canada, UK, Europe, Africa, we haven't consented to this stuff. So it's better that at least we have somebody who is at least inviting us. When have you ever been invited to what the WEF has going on? I've never had an invite. Never had anybody say, hey, sign up for some updates and, we're expecting you all to come if you want to. Never. The most that this can do is change the world. And the least that this can do is at least show us as people that if we do get together, maybe you're not a mind like Dr. Peterson, but maybe you have a mind. And maybe you have some things in mind that could change things. Maybe you have a bunch of people who you could get together. Now you guys can start your own consortium. I said that word right? It at least opens us up to the fact that there should be an alternative. There should be an alternative to this doom and gloom, to this bug eating, to this rental world that they have in mind. There should be some kind of option that we have to not participate in that. And also to not be outcasted completely from society if we don't agree with all of that. We should have that option. So, again, if you have faith in them, Twitter, sign up. And if not, completely understand. You'll have to wait and see for things to happen. That's how some people are. 100% understand. That's how I am with some things. But again, this was his warning to the globalists to leave us alone. Because a lot of us, we don't want the chips. We don't want the insertions. We don't want the drills. We don't want the goggles. We just want to be left alone. We don't want our kids subjugated to all sorts of weirdness. We just want to be left alone. Seems like this is a pathway to that. I'm out.